If you're like me, you found it puzzling in 2021, 2022, and even today that all these locations have help wanted signs. Where did everybody go? And why is it nationwide that they have this labor shortage? Keep in mind, this goes into labor statistics. It's not just who's working or how many people are working, it's who's looking for work. This goes into the labor statistics, this goes into the tight job market. But you got to wonder, where did they go and why was it a national phenomenon that, mostly minimum wage jobs in the service sector? We had people here in Colorado, restaurants we would go to, and they would close midday because they did not have enough workers. Unbelievable. But this has downstream effects because you have less taxpayers, less people paying into Social Security, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see this is a negative trend. And Bloomberg came out with an article I wanted to go over, and then I'm going to give my take on it. But it says millions of U.S. workers are still missing after the Cervasis. Where did they go? Conundrum. Reading from the article, millions of workers are still missing from the U.S. labor force 3 years after Cervasis surfaced. And economists are scratching their head as the big gap or how big the gap actually is and where all these people went. I've been scratching my head too, and I'm no economist. It's just odd, every job, it seemed like every business needed help. And it's not like demand went through the roof. It went up for sure because of stimulus, but it didn't go through the roof. And every business needed help. What gives? Okay, it could be anecdotal, if you see one or two businesses, but it was every single one here in Colorado. And asking my friends around the United States, they saw the same thing. For the reading, one estimate found that at least 2.1 million who retired earlier than expected. Another calculation, a shortfall of 2 million immigrants at the height of the Cervasis. Other research points to a million or more out of work because of long Cervasis. All right, so you have people who are retiring. Now, why would people choose to retire early? For a lot of reasons, but number one, I would think that the thought that goes into that is, what is their 401k? Is it doing well? Is it doing bad? Et cetera, et cetera. And I did a story the other day. 1 out of 6 retirees are thinking about coming back into the workforce because of inflation. But we saw all-time highs in 2021. So those people can, if they have the ability, to retire. Obviously, we we've got a lot more immigrants coming in today. And then you got long Cervasis. I'll go into that here in a second. So missing workforce. The labor force is 3 million shy of projections, according to one estimate. Where'd those people go? It says here, the labor force is the sum of employed and unemployed workers. Some researchers point to an estimate made by the Fed economist of how big it should be based on population trends. Assuming people kept working at pre-Cervasis rates, they projected a labor force of 168 million by the end of 2022. In reality, that figure was 165 million, arriving at a shortfall of roughly 3 million workers. And even that, you got to wonder, is like 3 million. Seems like a lot more than that every business needed help. Every business had a help wanted sign. So I think that does have to do, I think retirement this is multifaceted. More people retired than otherwise would have. Number one, baby boomers are a larger percentage of the population. So you got more people retiring because you got a bigger subset of workers who are older. Reading here, the labor force participation rate, the share of population that is working or looking for work, stands at 62.4, stubbornly below the pre-Cervasis level of 63.3. So you have a percentage that is less than in 2019. Keep that in mind as I go through this story. Dedem Tuzman, a senior economist at Kansas City Fed, calculated in a report last October there would be 2.4 million people in the labor force had participation rate. So there's less people even participating, right? Either looking for work or in the labor force than in 2019. So those are net numbers. Those are total people working. And she says if 2.4 million more people would be in the labor force if rates had not slipped during the surveillance. Most of the missing workers are older Americans, she noted. While many older workers initially left the surveillance workforce out of health concerns, others chose to hang their hats for good. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell has cited research by central bank economists that show excess retirements. That's for sure. I've looked into that. More people retired. For more than 2 million of the missing workers that hadn't been updated per the Labor Department's revision. Now, those people that retired, how many of those people made up, the minimum wage jobs? And those people who are older that were working minimum wage jobs in 2019, how many of them can actually retire anyways? So I would say the percentage of people in that minimum wage area where I saw all the help wanted signs, your fast food restaurants, your local mom and pop restaurants and mom and pop businesses, all those businesses had help wanted signs. Most of their employees are not retirement age. I think that's fairly safe to say. So where did all those workers go? Because yes, people retired, and I would imagine if you're 65 and you can retire, you've had a better paying job than minimum wage. Again, I'm going to get into that. All right, so Harvard University economist Raj Chetty and his colleagues tracked another category of missing workers in the recent paper: lower wage service workers who were displaced from their job early in this crisis never came back. Okay, so they left, they closed down the economy, they didn't come back. Where'd they go? How are they making money? How are they surviving? Did they just disappear? Are they living with mom and dad? Get into that. That illustrates best by payrolls in the sector like leisure and hospitality and restaurants and still lag their pre-surveillance level. So number of people on payroll in those groups, leisure, hospitality, restaurants, normally those are younger. Total number of people is less than in 2019. Elsewhere, the University of California Davis economists found that immigrants slowed to a trickle during the lockdown. It led to 2 million fewer working age immigrants in the United States, in the U.S. by 2021, than if the historic trend had continued. So you got retirements, you got people not going back to work, which is what I'm going to focus on, and you have less immigration. Finally, Americans suffered from long surveillance, which is underappreciated culprit in the missing worker mystery. According to Katie Bach, a non-resident fellow at the Brookings Institute last August, she estimated long surveillance reduced the U.S. labor force by the equivalent of 1.6 million people, when accounting for those who either worked fewer hours or left entirely. That's probably now down to somewhere in the range of 500,000 to 1 million, Bach said. Now, I want to show you this chart. Remember, there's a shortfall of 3 million. And I want to show you this specific chart, and this is from the Fed out of St. Louis. This I find interesting. Remember, missing workers, especially those in the lower paying hospitality, minimum wage, they never came back. Where'd they go? All right, so this is from the Fed. Looking at January 2020, and these are in the thousands over here on the left. So notice a distinct, so this is July 2020. Around March 2021, we see 1, 2 million, nearly 3 million more people on disability. What is causing that? Long surveillance, potentially. But this is quite a difference. So if we're looking at a $3 million or 3 million person differential in the workforce, and by their own statistics, the disability has gone up 1 to 2 million people. That's where they are. They're on disability. That's how they're paying their bills. So, disability, what's causing it? That's for you to surmise. But think about the the cost of people going on disability to an economy, especially if you aggregate it out and it's going up parabolically up and to the right. So you not only are they not working, they're not contributing taxes, and they're taking taxes from the tax base. We got some problems on our hands, folks. If that trend continues, and those are 16 and older. Those aren't people, in their 60s. Those are 16 and older numbers of people who are on disability. I think I know what's causing it. You can take a guess, but I'll link that. I'll link both these articles in the description below. But you let me know what you think. Why was there a nationwide shortage of workers magically in 2021? Did you experience it in your town? Are you still experiencing it today? And where do you think they all went? Love to hear what you have to say. I will see y'all in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.